It's a C+, and a C+ to me means there has been some movement in a positive direction, but it's a cautious movement that I would see. And I'd guide you to two numbers, and first number is the decrease in number of individuals who use shelters in Fredericton last year. And the big change was at the men's shelter. We went from 338 individuals who used the shelters in 2008 to 294 individuals in 2009. And there's a number of factors that brought that about. One of them is the increased availability and cooperation with the local methadone clinic. So that individuals who have to get on methadone or receive methadone to help them with their opiate addictions are receiving it more quickly, more effectively, and able to transition out of the shelter in a quicker fashion or not come into the shelter. And the second one was that there was an additional methadone clinic opened up in St. John in the middle of last year. We had started to see in probably latter part of 2007 into 2008, individuals coming to Fredericton from St. John because the waiting list was so long in St. John, and the waiting list was decreasing here because of the approaches being taken by the clinic. The third item that has had an impact, and it's such a positive impact that I know going forward we're going to see more of it, that's the increased availability of affordable housing units for single people within our community. Without that availability and the ongoing work to continue to increase that availability, we won't make progress. But we've seen in the last couple of years the 51 units open on Cliff Street. We've seen the 24 units at Luther Place. We've seen other subsidized units becoming available in other private landlords, private buildings, and landlords are stepping up and making units available as well. So the work that's being done on the affordable housing front is absolutely critical to continuing the progress that we've made. When you take a look at the two numbers, because of the two numbers that are the most important from my perspective, that is that decrease in the number of individuals, but right below it is the decrease in number of beds. So you'll see that the number of individuals are down 12.7%, but the number of bed nights is only down 2.3%. There's a real solid reason for that. And it is because, although we have fewer individuals, there are a lot of individuals who have stayed a long time. And that's been an ongoing problem in terms of trying to transition people from the shelters into affordable housing, which hasn't been available. So everything is connected. If you look at page 3 on your report card, I draw your attention to it. This is something that has happened quietly, but it has huge significance for our community. And that's the picture of the empty bed. Amongst us for the last 19 years, right among us, there's been an individual staying at the shelter next door. When I arrived at the shelters in November 2007, I was told the individual had been there 7 or 8 or 9 years. I spoke with George Pierce, who runs the kitchen, and he said, "No, Brian, I'm sure it's a lot longer than that." And as we've dug deeper and explored how long the individual had been here, we found the original little attendance cards that were made out, and he arrived in December 1990. There were 2 weeks at Christmas time of that year that he must have been with family. And then in 94-95, he was absent for about a year. And he had been in a group home, it turns out, which subsequently closed. And in 1995, he came back to the shelter, and he has been here ever since. That is really a disgrace on all of us, everyone involved, that we would allow an individual who struggles in life to just sit there for all of those years. Attempts have been made to move him before. They haven't been successful. But for the last year, and this is all part of when I say I've seen things happening positively, for the last year, mental health, adult protection, a family doctor, long-term housing have all worked together to find the right place in a special care home for this individual. And a month and a half ago, he moved successfully into a special care home on the north side. I visited him a couple of weeks ago. He's doing absolutely marvelously. He's put on a bit of weight. Because he wasn't eating regularly, he was eating a lot of junk food for a long time. The home that he's in has welcomed him, taken him in as a member of the family, and he has responded accordingly. Although that's just happened in 2010, the reason I'm talking about it is because it's a result of all the work in 2009. In addition, in 2009, we had the second longest individual move out of the shelter. He'd been 7 years, and he's gone into supportive housing which the John Howard Society has. Again, a great collaboration between agencies to help that individual as they transition going forward. And now we're looking at the individuals who have been 2 or 5 years, with solutions being worked on for each of those individuals that's coming in the coming months as well. When we look forward, the key is going to be enhance, continue, push on this collaborative approach, and essentially what we're doing is what I've spoken so negatively about in the past is about the silos that exist. The silos are weakening. The gaps are starting to disappear, and from mental health, from the medical side, from the Department of Social Development, from all of these avenues, from the nonprofit groups in the community. The work is coming together, and we're finding solutions for individuals. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm not one much for making predictions. We've seen a decrease. But I want to be able to sit here next year, or whoever's sitting here next year with a third report card, and I don't want to say that we've got a 40-bed shelter here in Fredericton for men. I want to be able to say we've changed that to at least a 30-bed shelter. This community, in my estimation, does not require, if we do everything correctly, a 40-bed shelter. I have a longer-term vision that takes it past that, but I'm not that brave to go farther.